Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the work session of Las Cruces City Council. Today is Monday, July 11th, 2022. It's approximately 1 p.m. Before we get started, if you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, Jennifer Martinez from our Communications Office will introduce our Pets of the Week.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I am Jennifer Martinez with the City's Communications Office, and today I am going to introduce you first to Tyrone. Folks at the Animal Services Center call Tyrone a schmooze when it comes to people. He does love attention and getting pet, and if you try to stop petting him, he will let you know that you are not done petting him, as he will grab you and ask for more. He's a one cat in the house kind of guy, but if you adopt him, you won't need another cat because he has as much love to give as an entire room of cats. And how do you not adopt this guy knowing that? And then we have Rose. Rose is about a year old and a medium dog at 40 pounds. This happy-go-lucky girl is always up for a walk. She gets a little excited sometimes, but she is still very gentle. Rose loves snacks and getting pet. She does have a tendency to jump a little, but she is willing to learn to be more patient with some training. After hanging out on the trails or walking, she turns into a lap dog with a lot of love to give. You can meet Rose or Tyrone by getting in touch with the Animal Services Center. Call 382-0018 with either of the animal numbers that you see here on your screen. Remember, this month is Red, White, and Cute. That's the adoption event where all adoptions are $25. The Humane Society is sponsoring the first 80 adoptions, and there is also an adoption event going on at Petco this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, next is going to be our Jobs of the Week, and Dr. Francisco Payadas, Deputy Director of Economic Development, will present those.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. For this week's Jobs of the Week, we have a Director for the Quality of Life Department. The City of Las Cruces is paying between $47 to $68, depending on the experience, and this position will be closing on the 8th of August of 2022. There's also a position available with Dearson Charities Incorporated, and this is for a counselor and resident monitor. The salary for these two positions are not disclosed, and they will be closing on the 20th of July of 2022. There's also a store associate, and this is with Sherwin-Williams. The salary is not disclosed, and this position will be closing on the 20th of July of 2022. There's also an administrative assistant position. This is available with American Document Services, and this position will be paying $11.95, and they will be closing on the 23rd of July of 2022. There's also a position available with New Mexico State Corrections Department, and this is for an information and records clerk. It will be paying between $11.50 to $19.69, depending on the experience, and it will be closing on the 17th of July of 2022. Also, as a reminder, there's going to be on Wednesday, July the 13th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., New Mexico Workforce Connection will be hosting a community resources fair. And also on Wednesday and Thursday, the 13th and the 14th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., there's also going to be a New Mexico Workforce Connection Employer Connection event. Both of these events will be at the 226 South Alameda Boulevard here in downtown Las Cruces. As always, the full list of jobs, internships, and volunteer opportunities is at employinem.com and also at governmentjobs.com/careers/Las Cruces. And as always, the information with New Mexico Workforce Connections, the phone number is 524-6250, and the location is 226 South Alameda Boulevard, downtown Las Cruces. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Payadas. Okay, we have 4 items on the agenda. And the first one is going to be the Oversight Committee initial presentation. And I believe Jennifer Vega is going to make the initial remarks. I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? Sorry. Mayor Pro Tem Gandara is on the line, and so we need a vote and a second to allow her to participate telephonically. I forgot. Sorry about that, Mayor Pro Tem.
So moved.
No problem, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Seconded, Corn.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Beta, second by Councilor Coran to allow Mayor Pro Tem Gandara to participate telephonically. Christine?
This is on the motion to allow Mayor Pro Tem Gandara to participate telephonically. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo is absent. Councilor Coran?
Yes. Yes.
Counselor Flores,
Yes.
Counselor Gondeta,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes. Okay, sorry about that, Jennifer.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jennifer Vega. I'm your city attorney. I'm going to introduce the first item on the agenda, which is the overview of the Oversight Committee. I will just go through one of the slides, and then the chair, Jack Ekman, will present the remaining. Let's see here. As you are aware, the city internal audit department is under the legal department. The legal department mission statement is that the mission of the legal department is to provide legal risk and compliance services to the city council, the city manager, and all organizational units of the city. So the public will be confident that the city government is protecting valuable resources and operating ethically, effectively, efficiently, and transparently. Historically, the legal department was comprised of the city attorney's office and the city clerk's office. In 2017, the city manager added the risk management division, and in 2018, the city manager added the internal audit office. You want to talk about? Yeah. And I'm going to defer to our city auditor to talk about the internal audit office.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilors. Viola Perea, City Auditor. The Internal Audit Office is comprised of 5 individuals, and this is a brief overview of what we are responsible for. Audits are objective and systematic assessments of how well an agency carries out its programs and operations. Audits conducted by the City of Las Cruces Internal Audit Office are conducted in accordance with policies and procedures that are based on the Institute of Internal Auditors, or the IIA standards. Audits may have financial and/or performance objectives and are subject to in-depth requirements for sufficient, appropriate, relevant, and complete evidence and documentation that supports audit findings. Audit reports contain findings and recommendations issued by the city auditor, and the final reports are public documents subject to IPRA. A cornerstone of audit standards is for the auditor to remain independent and objective at all times. And now I'm going to introduce Mr. Jack Ekman, our chair of the the Oversight Committee, and he will discuss accountability and government ordinance.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, telephonically, our Honorable City Council, esteemed City Manager, administrative staff. I think my time is up. No, I think I will get to my presentation now. Very much I will take us through a few slides and then have a comment to make.
Excuse me, Counselor, I just need you to state your name for the record.
My name is Jack Ekman. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. In the ordinance itself, which was passed on November 19th, 2018, it set these standards. Brings the internal audit office closer to the standards in Section 2A. It improves independence. It codifies the importance of objectivity. It creates requirement for peer review. It creates an independent oversight committee. It establishes the authority of the city auditor and requires cooperation of city departments and employees. And it maintains transparency and adheres to best practice models. The Inspector General, that position, investigations conducted by an IG are usually undertaken in response to reports of misconduct and often focus upon a person or small group of people. And by the way, we've learned a lot about this Inspector General position because we have the Inspector General from White Sands serving on our Oversight Committee. The Association of Inspector General professional standards are followed. Reports may be prepared to refer matters for prosecution, inform the city of a basis for potential discipline, correct serious deficiencies, or inform other government agencies of the need for action within their jurisdiction. And the Internal Audit Office will focus on operations, efficiencies, and organizational improvements. And IG serves to create increased accountability to the public. The Inspector General jurisdiction is quite broad. the authority to investigate municipal matters involving elected officials, appointed officials, employees, municipal agencies, instrumentalities, contractors, their subcontractors and lower tier subcontractors, and other parties doing business with the city or receiving city funds. The purpose of the ordinance itself, the Accountability in Government Ordinance, is to provide increased accountability, integrity, and oversight to the entire consolidated government, to insist in promoting economy and efficiency, improve operations, and deter and identify fraud, waste, and abuse. The Oversight Committee itself. I will pause the PowerPoint presentation at this point to make a few comments, if I may. Our first meeting was in October of 2020. That was during the COVID outbreak, and we were meeting remotely over Zoom. Some of us had never met each other in person. And so we started off without a template, without a guide. We started off with a bare slate, as you'll remember. And so from that, we started to put together a corpus of what we could effectively do as an oversight committee. So what we did was set up some filters that we could possibly look at from city data readily available to see if we could find a pulse for the city, to see if we could find a baseline. And so we looked at things such as hotline reports, litigation summaries, other things that were coming into the city routinely, financial status. And since that time, we've added some more. But we had to really crawl before we could walk. We decided we would meet monthly, even though the ordinance says we need not meet any more than quarterly. But we said we would meet monthly and wondered how that would establish things. We had to set up a regular meeting date and time and things of that nature. So all those very important but basic things needed to be put together first. And then our membership getting acquainted with each other. At this point, I'd like to introduce another voting member of the Oversight Committee so that you can learn who he is and a little bit about him, Mr. Charles Tucker. Charles?
Hello, Mayor. My name is Charles Tucker, and I serve on the Oversight Committee as a voting member, like Jack said. Is that too loud? Seems loud. Okay. A little bit of history about me. I served in the Army for 22 years. I retired in 2006. During that time, I also served as an in-uniform Inspector General for the United States Army. When I retired, I took a job as an Inspector General at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Worked there 2 years till 2008, and then I moved out here to White Sands Missile Range. I was the last Command Inspector General for White Sands Missile Range under General Ferrari. And then now I work as the only Inspector General on White Sands Missile Range, but I work for the Army Test and Evaluation Command. Our headquarters is at Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Maryland. As a military IG, our setup is a little bit different, as I have two bosses that I report to. I report to Lieutenant General Major General Gallivan at ATEC headquarters, and the Department of the Army Inspector General in the Pentagon, who controls our positions within the Army. My directing authority is Major General Gallivan, the ATEC inspector, the ATEC commander. I hope that being an IG on the Oversight Committee, I give a certain insight into how the reports and the things that we're looking at fall into an Inspector General realm. And with my experience, I hope to give more information as time goes. So thank you.
Charles, before you leave.
Yes, sir.
So you were IG at Fort Knox?
I was an IG at Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Is that where the gold is stored?
They tell us that.
Oh, you didn't see it?
You can't get close to it, even on a military installation.
Even the
they won't let
Inspector
anybody
General
get-
can't determine if the Fort Knox, if gold is still in Fort
No,
Knox?
it belongs to the Treasury Department.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We were finally able to get together in person in July of 2021. And it was amazing, number one, for me to see Mr. Tucker's height and get to know him. And Kieran Ryan, the Honorable Municipal Retired Judge, had many years of service here to the city. I think you're familiar with him. So the genius of the accountability and ordinance itself is the fact that the 3 voting members, you'll see slides later that will clarify some of this, but we have to come from 3 different fields. And so Mr. Tucker, an Inspector General, has a completely different viewpoint of issues than retired Municipal Judge Ryan. He sees things very much as an attorney and as people who've been in conflict and resolving disputes through the court system. And I come from a hospital administration background, previous city councilor, so I feel the administrative position on the council, on the committee. We think of ourselves like a 3-legged stool that's hard to tip over because we see things in such a different manner. We can really make a whole out of a sum of its parts. And I'm really edified by how it's been working so far. And I certainly hope you're pleased with what you've seen so far, but it's been quite brief, quite condensed, because we're probably not where we should be yet. We've added some more filters to what we're doing. We're now looking at the audits from the OIR group, the LCBD auditing firm, and we're giving feedback. We gave feedback to the city manager on about, well, a lot of things we'd like to see improved through OIR, and they have since been informed that they are to improve those things. And then we're still making other recommendations on those reports as they come in. So at this time, I'd like to go through these slides, and it might clarify a few points I've already made or maybe raise questions, we'll see. And I need to get here to you. There we go. The mission of the Oversight Committee is to assist the city's objective of accountability in government so that the city serves as responsible stewards of fiscal resources in compliance with the city charter by making recommendations, reviewing the effectiveness of risk assessment and internal audit activities, and ensuring independence of citywide audit functions. Here's how we look at oversight. We break it down this way. Oversight is composed of the word over, meaning above, preferably about 30,000 feet in the air, and sight, meaning looking but not touching. We are not to get involved in city operations at all. That would be totally irresponsible and not be of help. But those charged with oversight functions are asked to look at a process, a program, or a project from above, but not to get involved in the day-to-day management. You have professionals here for that. The committee shall consist of 3 members who are residents of the city and who are not employed by the city or in a direct contractual relationship with the city. At least 1 committee member shall be a certified public accountant or auditor. That would be Mr. Tucker as the IG. At least 1 committee member shall have law enforcement or legal background, and Judge Ryan completes that in spades. At least 1 committee member shall have experience or background in professional management or business. The mayor and 1 councilor appointed annually by the council shall be non-voting ex officio members. And all appointments shall be subject to council approval, and the existing committee members may make recommendations to the mayor and council for candidates to fill vacancies on the committee as they occur. The committee members shall be appointed for staggered 3-year terms. The committee members shall elect the committee chair annually. The City of Las Cruces Oversight Committee began their terms October 1, 2020. And here's a list of those. So Mr. Tucker came on for 1 year and was just reappointed this past year. And I have this current year to serve, and Judge Ryan has a decision to make on whether or not he wants another term. We have the mayor and Councilor Abeta, and they are very helpful in our deliberations, but they do allow us independence. Karen Ryan was the first committee chair, and I have the honor of being that chair at this point. The various experiences and perspectives provided by each of the 3 voting members provides a balance and strength within the Oversight Committee, and there we have those again. Our duties. The committee may provide the city auditor and the inspector general with recommendations for priorities and potential areas for investigations and audits. And the committee may lend advice to the city auditor and inspector general regarding technical issues that may arise. If a majority of the committee members find that an audit, investigation, or strategic review is questionable, then the committee may issue a cautionary statement to the inspector general or the city auditor, as appropriate, with a copy to the city attorney. And the committee shall review any audit, investigatory, or strategic review reports at each meeting. The committee may draft a cautionary statement for inclusion in the published report. And we do review at least one audit at every one of their meetings, and we have not been limited to 1 meeting a month. There have been some months where we've had 3 meetings within a month because of the importance of the issue at hand. Here is one example of a statement we made as a result of an audit. And you might remember this. This was in the utilities payment and receipting audit. Forgive me, I'm going to read this. The Oversight Committee notes that a prudent performance measurement system must not have been effectively in place regarding the cash handling and receipting processes in the CLC Utilities Department. A robust system must be in place to not only follow New Mexico state requirements, but also CLC city policy. We recommend performance standards, and what those are to us is in parentheses, answering the question, what conditions must exist for this responsibility to be done up to standard, close parentheses, and performance measures for cash handling be established and aggressively monitored that guarantee alignment with all current policy, statutes, and regulations. The Oversight Committee finds that cash handling has been cited as not meeting audit requirements in past external audit examinations, noted from findings from different areas and departments. We recommend the City Auditor's Office conduct a root cause analysis to determine how practices recommended by previous external audits have not been adopted and placed into routine operations. This situation is now being corrected to our satisfaction. One thing we did, because we're a kind of a do-it-yourself committee, is we did a self-assessment, and that was done this spring. It was, I think, very, very helpful to us. It was completed by 8 participants, the 3 voting members of the committee, the 2 non-voting members, 2 legal department staff, and 1 city manager's office representative. So this looks like where our questions landed. Let me just tell you that what we found to be our strengths were having the talent necessary that was presently there. We had a valuable meeting location because it allowed us to do Zoom and in-person at the same time, see audio-visual aids. We had a very good location, and all felt positive regarding being on track with where we needed to get to. Now, our top 3 weaknesses were having the respect of key stakeholders in the organization. We didn't feel we had it. Possessing adequate resources to perform our function, specifically an inspector general mainly, and agenda and materials for meeting being distributed in a timely manner. I'm getting a little here. So we are using the staff that is available from our legal department and our auditing department, and they're doing absolutely the best they can, and we appreciate every effort they have. And is there something we can do about my sound? I don't want to bother anybody.
Yeah, let's take just a quick minute or so to see if our communications office is picking you up. Or, Counselor, do you want to grab one of the Mr. microphones right there on the table? Maybe we can use that. That might be better.
Is this better?
You may want to move that current one out of direction. There you go. Thank you.
Okay. I'd now like to sing. So, from this presentation on, I move on to a couple of things. The current resources to carry out the function and fulfill the Oversight Committee's mission and purpose.
Can you speak up a little bit, Counselor?
Okay. The current resources to carry out the function and fulfill the Oversight Committee's mission and purpose. Our reliance on the legal department staff for meeting minutes, correspondence to city management, city council presentations, and future resource needs. We do have those needs. We continue to need an inspector general. We're finding that the hotline system itself might need improvement or something of that nature. It's even come to my mind that we might have a way for 100,000 constituents and 1,500 employees, for 100,000 constituents and 1,500 employees to anonymously, if they wish, get in touch with the Oversight Committee with something. So that's just a thought, but we're looking toward that. And a recommendation is coming that was asked for by the non-voting members of the Oversight Committee, and that would be a recommendation on the auditing of the regular things at the police department. Is the ORI group working appropriately, or should there be another method or system? And we will have that available to City Council in October, so that that'll be ready for you when you make your decision in March of 2023.
Counselor, I think the microphone should be working now, the main one on the podium. Sorry about that.
All right. So at this point, before I move any further, I was wondering if Mr. Tucker, the mayor, or Councilor Abeyta might have anything they'd like to add before we discuss.
I'm sorry, Counselor Abeyta, would like to say something?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Ekman. I did want to say thank you to all the members of the Oversight Committee that have been giving their time and attention to a very new committee, and there's been a lot of issues that you've had to look at and review, and some tailoring that has had to happen. So I appreciate your willingness to really be thorough and to engage in some very in-depth conversations with everything. So it's just a thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. We're good.
Okay, we're good. So are there any questions from City Council or anyone?
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. I do, if it's okay to ask a question.
Yes, did you have any questions to ask of Councilor Ekman as chair of the Oversight Committee?
I do. Thank you, Councilor Ekman, and members of the committee that are present. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. You made mention about the Inspector General, and I wanted to ask where we were at as administratively, Mr. Peely, regarding the hiring of an Inspector General. I think this was something that early on Council really wanted to see happen, and I'd like just an update about where we're at with that.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilor Pro Tem. This is Jennifer Vega. As you are aware, the Inspector General falls under the City Attorney, and I am the hiring manager for that position. It's taken some time because that is a new position, so we had to come up with a complete job description. There was, originally, there was a job description that didn't quite match the city ordinance, so we had to adjust that.
Sorry, I'm unable to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Mayor Pro Tem, did we lose you? I think we lost her. So if you want to go ahead and explain, and then she can always...
Okay, thank you. So we had to come up with a complete job description. It needed to match the legal requirements for the city ordinance. And then there was the question of salary. So we had a salary recommendation that came in about a year and a half ago that was quite low. And so we asked for an adjustment of that salary, and that was adjusted. We did get a recent recommendation for that. The requisition for the position was ready on the 29th, June 29th. I just happened to leave for vacation that day, so I did approve it first thing this morning, and so the requisition has been approved, and it's ready for posting.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Charles.
Can I make one comment real quick?
You may.
Thank you again. I just wanted to say that with Jack,
Charles, I just need to state your name again.
oh, it's Charles Tucker with the Oversight Committee again. I just wanted to say one thing. With me, Jack, and Kieran, we tend to look at things one way or a certain way. So it's always great to have, whether it be Ms. Abeda or Ms. Flores or Ms. Gandara, who adds stuff to our meetings. So I always like to say that it's good to have the different insights coming in, because we tend to do groupthink sometimes, and it's good to have the other people adding to our meetings. So not everything comes from us, I should say. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
We have had visitors to our meeting, and as long as we don't go over the meeting quorum act, it's fine if counselors want to see what we're doing. That is absolutely fine. I think trading would be in order, and we do have to watch our time sometimes. But it has been helpful. Mr. Mayor, you have something to say?
I was just going to ask if you could get closer to the microphone. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's all.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Flores has a question.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Ekman, and thank you, Mr. Tucker, and Ms. Berea, thank you, and Attorney Vega Brown. I've enjoyed sitting in. I've sat in on 2 or 3 of your meetings, and I'm really impressed by the professionalism of everyone. So I want to thank you all for that. You made a comment about whether you question whether OIR is sufficient. Can you explain what you mean? Do you mean that perhaps another oversight, an outside auditor should be assigned? Is it too constrained to certain issues? What is it exactly that you mean by that, Mr. Ekman? Thank you.
We've actually been asked by other non-voting members of our committee if that is absolutely the best way of doing things. Let me say they are meeting their contractual obligations. They are doing what they are supposed to do. But is what they are supposed to do sufficient at this time would be our question. Is it helpful to the city police department? Can they learn and grow from some things that are happening there? The purpose of this is absolutely not to criticize the police department. It's to help them grow and to build and to get stronger and to give them some insights into how the public might be reacting to some of the things that after a while you might feel insular about. So We'll be ready in October to discuss that. But as I look around the nation right now, I see a minimum of 68 different methods for cities to provide oversight for the police department. A minimum of 68. And we'd have to know what the city council or the city manager wants out of it. And we also have the city charter, which clearly states that the city manager is in charge of the police department, and in fact, every single employee you have. And so everything must go through the city manager and what the city manager is looking for to make the police department as effective as possible. And so I'd say real communication on this point would be very helpful to us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you again, Mr. Ekman. I'm the person who asks a lot of questions all the time, so please forgive. Well, you're used to it.
I've served with you, yes.
You mentioned the city charter, and you stated that it was the city manager, of course, who is, I guess, responsible or the ultimate overseer of the Las Cruces Police Department.
Correct.
Yes. But there's also a provision for city council to be sure that the positions that we do have are fulfilling the responsibilities of the city.
There is, and in fact, it says that the city council is responsible for the organization of the employees that then the city manager administers. But the city council is to set up those roles and responsibilities and divisions within the city. Yes.
That's a big onus. Thank you.
You may.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is Jennifer Vega, your city attorney. Regarding the OIR contract and any other issue that comes before the Oversight Committee, Barbara De Leon and myself sit at every meeting, and what we're trying to do is identify any lack or gap of information. Right now, the contract is being fulfilled. As we progress, we've never had this type of oversight. We've never had to have a committee review any audit or anything like this. So we can identify not what anybody's doing wrong, but if the city manager has all the information that he needs. And so if we're noticing that there's a gap in retrieving that information, so maybe there's a deficiency in the contract, it's not whether or not the police department may or may not be doing something, it's whether or not we're capturing that information. So we just want to make sure that as we review it, we're identifying gaps so that we can make sure that the people who need the information, which is the city manager and the city council, have that information. And how can we best do that? That might require an adjustment in the contract. Ms. De Leon has been doing the same thing with financial reports. Does the information that the finance department is providing to the oversight committee, is that enough information? Or can we provide additional information that may be more helpful? So we're constantly trying to look at that so that we can make sure that the people who need the information have it.
Ms. Vega Brown, thank you for the explanation. However, the contract provisions would be between the city and OIR. However, I think that there may be a need to look at not only the provision in the contract, but the information that is submitted to OIR. And I don't know what information is being submitted. I have read the OIR reports, and it's clear to me that they are being responsive to the information that's being provided to them. So maybe there's a gap there, and I don't know how to close that gap. I don't think it's within my parameters to do so. I think it's outside of the scope of my duty as a city councilor, but not outside of my duty to identify that there's a gap there. Thank you.
And Mayor and Council, that is precisely what we're trying to do. So because we have different insight we handle litigation, we see police reports, we are city prosecutors, so we can see if there's a gap in information and provide that information to either oversight, we've provided it to the police chief, we can provide that information if we see that there's a gap. And that might need a requirement in the contract to be adjusted. So we can add that additional information that we realize is not being received to be gathered. We just have to identify where those gaps are.
One thing I thought would be helpful if I could, and that would be for Mr. Tucker to explain how the IG works with the military command system. And so, Mr. Tucker, would you please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. It's Charles Tucker again. I stated earlier that we work for two separate entities. I work for the Department of the Army Inspector General, who has control over my position. My position can't be taken from the Army Test and Evaluation Command without permission of the Army. But I also work for my directing authority, which is my commander, Major General Gallivan. So, like, when we're done here, I have to head to the airport and then I have to fly to Huntsville. I have to conduct an inspection this week on Redstone Test Center, which is part of the Army Test and Evaluation Command. Now, the general provides me a directive. He tells me what he wants me to look at. He gives me two objectives for the inspection. I conduct any inspection, I'm looking for systemic issues. If he wants me to conduct, well, let me go back just a little bit. As an Army Inspector General, I have 4 functions. I conduct investigations, I conduct inspections, I do teach and train. So if when a soldier comes into my office and he has a question about why his first sergeant is yelling at him, I can show him in the regulatory guidance where the first sergeant for the unit has control of all discipline within that unit. And sometimes to get the word across to people, you have to get a little vocal. And he's not breaking any regulatory guidance, that's just what he does. So I teach and train the soldier that the first sergeant isn't breaking any rules by screaming at him. But there may be a better way of communicating your thoughts. So I'll go back and I'll talk to the first sergeant and say, you know, maybe you need to tone down a little bit because it's not coming across to your soldiers. But that's part of the teach and train. On top of that, I do inspections, investigations, teach and train, and assistance. So personnel in the Army that have problems with pay problems, they'll come see me. There's an IG at the Defense Finance and Accounting Service. I contact him, we get their problems fixed. So that's one of my functions also as assistance. Misuse of government vehicles. I don't always have to do an investigation on that. I can do a teach and train to tell people that you're misusing government vehicles, or I can do an assistance to help a person get a government vehicle if they don't have one. So there's certain functions that we do, but I do nothing without the directive of my commander. My commander tells me what he wants me to focus on. There are certain things that just happen with assistance and teach and train that I don't need a directive to do. Certain investigations I can start, but for me to finish, I need to have a directive from my commander. I don't investigate my commander. The Department of the Army Inspector General investigates my commander. I can't investigate the guy that I work for. Somebody else has to do that. So that's a little bit where we're different, and that's how we run within the Army's Inspector General Corps. So just to make it clear for everybody. Is there any questions maybe I can answer for somebody? Or
I was going to return to see if Mayor Pro Tem was on the line and if she had any further questions.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, are you still there? Okay, I think we lost her we were having interference on the microphone. Okay. Any questions from council of Charles? Yes, Councilor Fotis.
Yes, I do have a question perhaps for Mr. Ekman or for Mr. Tucker. So in what you just stated, it seems to me that in your, as Inspector General, you're able to...
I am, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, if you can sit tight, and then we'll get with you in just a moment. Hello? I'll text you.
Are you able to, spot some issues or see that there are some gaps insofar as what you need to deliver in order to correct a situation?
Yes, ma'am. One of our things that when I was on active duty and I served as an Inspector General, one of the issues that comes up is an IG is never off the record. You can't claim to ever be off the record. So if somebody comes and talks to you and they bring up something about misuse of a government vehicle again, and they just complaining about their neighbor or something, what a lot of times they don't realize is now you've thrown it in my lap. You've done it inadvertently, but you've done it. So now I have to go chase this down. If I'm out at an annual activities day and trying to relax and play softball or something, and somebody complains about something to somebody else, if I hear it, I have to act on it. That's the way we have to. So there's never a time when you can't turn it off as an IG in the Army. Somebody had this great idea one time to put a big patch on the shoulder that says IG. And all that does is like flies in honey. So now everybody's talking. No matter where you go in uniform, you have somebody complaining about something. So it never ends. There's always somebody to complain about. So as we walk around, and when I was in Afghanistan, we would take helicopter flights to the different FOBs. And our job was to just wander the FOB, talking to the soldiers that were on the ground to find out what was going on. The commanders didn't like it that were on the ground because they don't want somebody else in their battle area. But that's what we did. So we would talk to people, find out what's going on. If there's an issue getting ammunition, if there was an issue with, people weren't getting enough sleep, or, they were, the J-lens wasn't working. I don't even want to get into the J-lens. But if the weapon systems weren't working correctly, or if something wasn't happening that was supposed to happen, that's what we do. We look for systemic issues. We look for things that we can fix.
So along those lines, Mr. Tucker and
Yes,
Mr. Ekman and Attorney Vega Brown and internal auditor Viola Perea, and looking, I'm talking from where I'm sitting, seeing OIR and reading the reports that they issue, they do make some recommendations about correcting this or correcting that. However, it seems to me that it's apparent that they're not getting a lot of information. And the information I'm referring to is information that we read about in the newspaper. And we know about that, but it's not covered in the OIR reports. So I'm just trying to figure out either through the oversight board and your respective expertise and our attorney and our internal auditor, if there's any way that they can work with Mr. Peely, or you all can work with Mr. Peely. I'm just trying to stay out of it. I mean, I don't want to in any way step on anyone's toes or overextend the parameters of my charter obligations or limitations. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, I think one of the issues, well, it's not an issue, it's just a process. The OIR reviews completed internal affairs investigations. And it could be that if there's a pending criminal action or a pending determination to be made either by the Attorney General or the District Attorney, that might delay the completion of the internal affairs investigation. And so there might be some delay in that if those things are happening. So they won't be reviewed by OIR immediately. It has to be a completed internal affairs investigation.
Thank you for that explanation, and that's probably what creates the gap, because some of these pending litigation issues go on for years before they're resolved, and in the meantime, the same behavior is being repeated. Anyway, I hope that over the course of the next decade or two, we'll see some improvement. Thank you again, Mr. Ekman, and thank you, Mayor.
And again, we'll have some prescriptive advice on that by October. We believe the OIR group is doing what they are contracted to do and doing it effectively. We might be recommending some expansion of what an outside auditor or perhaps an inside auditor is looking at in the police department, or any agency of the city. Whatever would be of most benefit to the city in improving things for the department, with the department, is what our goal would be.
Thank you, Mr. Ekman.
We've got a question from Mayor Pro Tem, and then I know Councilor Coran. And I don't know if you want to answer this or Jennifer. It says, the question is, how does each council member receive keep recommendations specifically to any recommendations of the oversight, and what EFO agrees or not? Is it by report quarterly, monthly? Is it by email? We need to close the communication gap to us.
We are replying as soon as we see the audit and have anything to comment. I think we've commented on every one except one or two. And so those are a part of the process. They do go to city administration for review. In fact, they're on your city web at this time. So the process is working that way, so even the public knows what our comments are. It might not be as timely as we wish, but they are thorough, and they are there to see, and I'm sure Mr. Peely could help you find those and show you them if you haven't really had them on your eyes before.
Okay, and then Councilor Coran, you have a question?
My question sort of goes to what you were alluding to, Mr. Tucker, regarding the reporting, but the recommendations that you all have made. Thank you for your presentation. I really appreciate it. But just in the big picture, it seems that, and I'm not sure how the IG position will fall into that, but it seems that you all sort of sort through a myriad of inputs, ranging from direct reports to audits to things that might be elevated to you through some other capacity. I suspect there are also gaps, and that's partly why you're alluding to the potential to have your own single communication place that folks can reach out to you. I'm wondering how all of that, and I think about things like we're going to hear about IPRA requests. There's an extraordinary amount of work associated with all of those things, conducting additional audits and sort of human and material resources that the city has to put into that. I wonder, one, if there were a sort of a channel directly to report things to you all, how would that fit into the sort of queue? And then does the Inspector General position, if filled, how would that sort of relate to all of those various inputs that come through and may or may not be related to each other or unrelated or validated even in an initial screen or not validated and that. So I'm curious how all of that would fit together.
Excellent question. We have yet to have a comprehensive feedback scheme. We rely totally on audits and on Inspector General reports. We are not to look into anything on our own to see if there's a problem. That is absolutely void. We can't do anything of that nature. Right now, with our audit team is finally up to staff. But if they get called away to do what an Inspector General could do, that bumps every other audit that we wanted to happen. And all those audits that you just approved for this coming fiscal year are very necessary to see if we're giving the city the efficient and effective government it relies on. And so we will have more information available to us if we have an inspector general working with the city manager, working with whoever to find out what we can do to help improve. There are issues, they do come up, and rather in the future from them being publicly displayed, maybe we want them to be publicly displayed. That's not what I mean. It's just that we should have solved it before it became a front page issue.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is Jennifer Vega, your city attorney. One of the things right now that how we receive a lot of information is through the hotline. We have a community hotline, and we also have an employee hotline. It's the same phone number. Every single hotline complaint is reviewed by city management, the 2 assistant city managers, the city attorney, and the city auditor. They review every hotline complaint that comes through. If it's a personnel matter, that's directed back to the director of that particular department. If it's not a personnel matter and it's something else, then the committee will determine how to best handle that. Will it be referred to the internal audit for an audit? Will it be referred directly to the city manager? So there is a lot of information that we are receiving, and it is reviewed by both assistant city managers and the legal department. Another thing that is important to remember, the city auditor and the inspector general, the ordinance requires that they are allowed to initiate their own investigation or review. They do not have to wait for any type of direction. They do not have to, in fact, the city manager or the city attorney, we cannot interfere with an investigation. We cannot redirect an investigation, and we cannot alter a report. So we can make recommendations for investigations, and we can request investigations, but they can investigate whoever, as long as it's aligned with the ordinance itself. So they have more independence that way than the federal government may have, because they don't need a directive to initiate any type of investigation. The hotline committee can also make recommendations to the city auditor or the future inspector general to investigate. We can make requests and investigations. We can also make a request to the oversight committee for a recommendation, because the oversight committee can make recommendations to the inspector general and the auditor for technical issues, and they can also request investigations or recommend investigations. They just can't direct investigations. So right now we do receive a lot of information. Our hotline, we have, well, that's going to be covered in our next presentation, but we do receive a lot of information through that. The Oversight Committee is provided a hotline report monthly.
Jennifer, before you go, why was there just 2 council members on the committee? I can't remember the reason for 2 as opposed to, say, 3.
Mayor and council, the recommendation was for 2 because we're always concerned, first of all, with the Open Meetings Act, because these some of the topics that could be discussed might involve confidential or privileged information. So we wanted to make sure that we did not violate the Open Meetings Act, and that these were not public meetings. These are directed by the chair.
Okay, thank you.
And I thank you for the opportunity to present here today at your first work session of your new fiscal year, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Okay, so we're done with the, so now we're going to go to the internal audit report.
Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Beta. You have a
Thank you,
question?
Mayor. With respect to your last question, what I would say is having 2 counselors on, I believe, obviously is very good to have, but there has been a lot of interest from other counselors to attend these meetings, which has gotten us into issues. If I'm not present, then if other people are on, then I have to get the information in a different way. So my recommendation, as we're looking at this ordinance, is to either formally adopt a process where there are 3 named individuals on there, or just to leave it at 2 and just work on communication between council so that there's no ambiguity on attendance.
You know, I just thought of something when you were just mentioning that. If we were to have a proxy, or if someone was to alternate, then theoretically more than 3 members could actually be privy to information that yeah. So we need to have a specific number, and if they can't attend, then they can't attend. And yeah, so this is probably one of the rare times that we may want to adhere to that. So, okay, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so you're doing the fiscal year 2022 annual internal audit report? Okay.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, Viola Perea, City Auditor. Today I'm going to present a look back at FY22 and provide you all with a report for the activities that have taken place within internal audit. And some of these slides have been covered in our previous discussion, so I'll go through them rather quickly. But internal audit is a division of the legal department. The city auditor manages the division, reports directly to the city attorney, who reports directly to the city manager and the city council pursuant to the city charter. The mission of the legal department is to provide legal, risk, and compliance services to city council, the city manager, and all organizational units of the city, so the public will be confident that the city government is protecting valuable resources and operating ethically, effectively, efficiently, and transparently. In accordance with the Accountability and Government Ordinance, again, we've covered this previously already, but this, the ordinance just indicates that the Office of Internal Audit is to be sufficiently independent with no interference or influence that will adversely affect independence or objectivity. I'm going to skip through this. We've already talked about the members of our committee and gone through this slide as well. So this is a slide for the Internal Audit Office. Internal Audit currently has 5 members: the city auditor, the city manager, the audit manager, and 3 internal auditors. And I'd like to take a brief moment to introduce 2 of our auditors that we have today. We have Ms. Rachel Thielen, and we have Will Blanchard. He recently joined us just a couple of months ago from our finance department. And our 3rd auditor is Vanessa Williams, who also joined us from finance in our treasury department. She's currently on vacation, so she's not here today. As reviewed in the report that was approved by council last week, internal audit has not been able to fulfill 100% of our past audit plans. FY20, FY21, we were down to, at one point, just myself. We have slowly been adding auditors on with, like I said, Will just joining us in April of this year. We still have 1 vacancy, but we are making significant progress. So for FY22, we either completed or had in process approximately 67% of our audit plan, which is pretty great. But we are working to improve that goal, and with the addition of an internal audit manager, we do expect to meet or exceed the goals that we have in the past. But this gives you an overview of what we were able to complete or had in process for last fiscal year. We completed the utilities payment receipting audit with a subsequent or an additional memo to Treasury regarding cash handling processes. And we have 6 audits currently underway. We have the juvenile citation program, which we just conducted an exit conference last week. So we'll have that report to the city manager's office as soon as we receive management responses back from the Parks and Rec director. We have a follow-up audit of the PDMM contract management audit. We have municipal court indigent defense services underway. That one is near completion as well. We hope to have our exit conference soon. We currently started the Rincon Hills Park contract compliance, in addition to the FLSA payroll and training requirements, and a review at COVID-19 policies and procedures. In FY22, internal audit also completed 4 strategic reviews. As Mr. Ekman mentioned, when internal audit receives information that is of significance, we might postpone our scheduled audit plan and actually take those resources and commit to some of these other issues as they arise. These are the 4 that we have completed in FY22. Internal audit is also responsible for managing the anonymous hotline service that we have. As Attorney Vega Brown mentioned, we have 2 different avenues, both for the employees of the city as well as the public, and they can report either via telephone or online. It is anonymous if the caller chooses to remain anonymous, and the only time we would know who the caller is or how to contact that individual is if they provide us with that information. But they do have the option to remain anonymous, and therefore we would not know who that caller is. However, they would provide those details in either to a call intake person through a third party that we contract with, or they can type it in directly. That information is then gathered and an email is sent back to the hotline committee. We have no contact with the individual at any time unless they indicate who they are and what their contact information might be. Our hotline committee is comprised of the 2 assistant city managers, the city attorney, and myself. And internal audit will investigate any complaints that the committee determines ties back to fraud, waste, and abuse. If the complaint coming in is personnel related, it'll be disseminated back to the department director or possibly HR, if not both, to complete the investigation. During FY22, when I prepared this slide, we were still in the month of June, so we hadn't concluded the entire month of June. So at the time I reported, we had 79 complaints for FY22 reported through the hotline. We actually ended on June 31st with 86 complaints. However, not all of the complaints that are coming through the hotline are related to city operations or city employees. For FY22, we had 25 complaints, or approximately 29% of all of the hotline complaints that have been received were not related to a city employee or a city function. And again, personnel actions resulting from a hotline complaint are kept confidential. We will report back through the hotline that the investigation has been completed and that appropriate actions have been taken, but we will not give specifics as to what that action might be. Internal audit is also responsible for overseeing the police auditor contract. And essentially what that means is we help to initiate the contract. We help to create purchase orders. For example, we just requested the FY23 purchase order to be created for this new fiscal year. And we monitor and review the invoices that are submitted monthly by the OIR group. They are reviewed for accuracy, for completeness, and that they actually tie back to a complaint that has been submitted by LCPD over to OIR. If we have any issues on the invoices, we communicate back with OIR to get those corrected before it's submitted for payment. Inspection of public records. We have a presentation following this presentation regarding IPRA requests, but I just put this slide together to indicate that internal audit does participate in the completion of IPRA requests as well. And for FY22, we responded to 14 IPRA requests within the allotted time period. Our peak performance measures. Within the legal department strategic plan, within the internal audit section, we have 4 performance measures that we are responsible for. The first indicates by 2022, 80% of the annual audit plan will be completed by the end of the fiscal year. As I mentioned previously, we have not been fully staffed and we have not been able to achieve this particular goal. We did come close this year with 67% of completed or in process, but we do have very high expectations that we'll be able to meet this goal for FY23. Our second is by FY22, 50% of employees will successfully complete ethics training. Ethics training is an annual requirement for all city employees. And previously in the past, internal audit would participate with HR department while we provided in-person ethics training. However, during COVID, especially during COVID, we had only the online versions of the ethics training, so we have not been able to participate in that up until now. We do intend through the legal department to be more involved in the development and improvement of our ethics training moving forward in the future. However, I did contact HR and got some information for calendar year 2021 ethics training. The training requirements are based on a calendar year, not a fiscal year. So what HR reported was, excuse me, I can't read with my glasses on this close. For calendar year 2021, we had 37% of city employees who completed ethics training online. So the completion of the annual training requirements is dependent on each department director to ensure compliance. But I wanted to let you know at this point it is still online. And internal audit and the legal department will be more involved in in-person training moving forward. Our third performance measure is by 2022, 75% of city employees surveyed will report that they agree or strongly agree that they work in an ethical climate. So another aspect of internal audit is we conduct an annual ethics survey every year. And we'll be discussing that briefly in a couple more slides. But for 2022, we exceeded this measurement. We had actually 77% of the employees who responded to our survey indicated that they do agree that they work in an ethical climate here at the city. Our fourth and last performance measure is that 95% of audit recommendations will be implemented by the effective department within the agreed upon time frame. And again, I don't mean to keep repeating myself here, but without having sufficient resources to not only conduct audits and special investigations, but also to conduct follow-up audits to determine whether or not recommendations are being implemented, we just didn't have the resources to do that this fiscal year. However, we do have it on our audit plan to do follow-up audits on every completed FY22 audit, so we will be able to monitor that and report to you for FY23 activities. And a little bit now about the ethics survey. So every year since 2014, Internal Audit has conducted a citywide ethics survey. For the FY22 survey, it was sent to 1,779 full-time, part-time, and other types of employees. It was essentially everyone within Munis that had an email address. We kept the survey open for about 2.5 weeks, from April 25th to May 11th. We had 531 employees respond to the survey, which is the second highest since we started this in 2014, which is approximately 30% of the employees surveyed, and they completed that survey for us. In your packets, you all received this historical data from 2014 to current, and it shows you the trending of the information, the responses that have been received. And over the years, we've added a few questions, so you see those at the bottom. So we measured but responses from the baseline in 2014 to the current year, but also the past year to the current year, so we can see how things are changing or improving within the city. And then lastly, we have just a little bit of information here, some bios for our audit staff. As I mentioned, we currently have 5 individuals within the internal audit office for our field. One is currently vacant, that's our audit manager. However, we have made a tentative offer. It's been accepted, so we are in the process of getting that filled as well. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Councilor Graham.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you so much for the presentation. On slide 11, you had referred to, I think, 79 complaints, and that was up to 86?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Graham, yes, ma'am. We are now at 86 for the closing of FY22.
Okay, great. And if I understood correctly, there are kind of 2 separate hotlines. There's the employee hotline and a community hotline? Okay, and do these numbers, is that the combined of both?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Mayor, Councilor Graham, what we have is 2 separate telephone lines. One is for the employee telephone line, one is for the public telephone line, and then we have 2 web intakes. So there's a link for the public web intake and then a link for the community or the employee web intake. However, whichever you use, whether it's telephone or the web, and whichever method you use, whether employee or the public, they all route to the same third-party organization that collects that data. They format it into a report, and then those reports are individually emailed to each of the 4 hotline committee members.
Okay, great. You anticipated and answered succinctly my next question, which was how community inquiries were routed, but it's all going through the same sort of
That
thing.
is correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks, Mayor.
Councilor Flores?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Viola Perea. Not all, on page 11, not all complaints related to city operations or city employees. So can you share with us what those miscellaneous complaints might be? I'm just curious. Are they complaining about gas prices, the long lines at the gas station?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Flores, yes, ma'am. We get complaints literally about everything. We get complaints that might relate to a city employee or a city operation or function. We get complaints, especially during COVID, people that wanted, through the hotline complaint system, they wanted resources for how to go about getting food vouchers or housing information. We've had complaints about COVID from employees of private companies wanting to report their employees for making them wear a mask or not requiring them to wear a mask. It honestly, it runs the gamut. We get complaints from just about everybody for any reason possible that are in addition to things that relate to the city. And so of the total 86 that we had for fiscal year 22, 25 of those were not related to a city function or a city employee. They related to other things, from the things that I've mentioned to even reporting matters that need to be addressed by the police, but they're reported through the hotline. So we just route those appropriately, whether it be to PD or whether it be to utilities as a service complaint. We've even had complaints of potholes that we route to the 311 system. So it runs the gamut. We collect it all, and then we just disseminate it appropriately.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perea, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, are you there?
I am, Mayor.
Do you have a question?
I don't, thank you.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask this. Have you received a complaint from me, on me, that I live in Santa Fe and only come down for the council meetings?
Mr. Mayor, Council, no, I haven't.
Okay,
So
'cause I'm hearing it all over, which I don't. Haven't been to the city different in over a year, but okay, just curious. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Is that it for your presentation?
yes, sir, that's all I have. Thank you.
I did have one more
I'm sorry.
question.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Not a question, just so much as a comment. I was reading through the survey, which most of it obviously ethically oriented, but there were a couple of questions that I'm just hoping that everyone took the time to read through all of the comments, amongst the counselors, amongst city manager's office, because there were definitely some things that made me take pause. So for instance, I wanted to put question 22, I feel physically safe in my work environment. And again, so not so much of an ethical consideration, but I also understand, like, if you can get people to take a survey, ask them anything we possibly can, because it can be hard to get people to take surveys. So I guess I just wanted to get it out there that I personally read through those comments and felt a lot of sympathy for some of the responses that I was seeing, and that I'm confident that others, who saw this are reading those comments as well, and I would be happy to hear about how we might be able to address some of those concerns. So just wanted to get that out there. Thanks. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I really appreciate Councilor Graham's comments on that. I want to ask a question and then comment. Viola, in the internal complaints that you receive from staff, is that, what is the number? Remind me of what that looks like, and is that pretty standard in terms of the number of complaints that we receive? A healthy organization, right? I think people should be lodging complaints and concerns if they have them. And can you tell me what the standard is for a city our size?
Yes, ma'am, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara. I don't know the standard for communities our size, but I can give you a little bit of history for the city of Las Cruces. When I first was put into this position, that initial fiscal year, we only had 50 hotline complaints come through the system. And through our ethics survey, we learned from city employees that there was a number of folks who indicated they weren't quite aware how to report a concern. And so we increased our visibility. We put the hotline on within more areas of the internal website as well as our external city website. So we have increased our visibility, and over the last couple of years, the number of complaints being filed are increasing. Last year, we closed FY21 with 78 complaints, and this year we closed at 86. So from 50 to 78 to 86, we are seeing that increase, so that increased visibility has had a positive effect. And then a negative effect, if you will, in a way that because it is more visible, we have more calls that don't relate to city operations or city functions coming through as well. So we do have more employees having that avenue to voice their concern, as well as things that don't necessarily relate to the city. But we do see a positive increase in having people have that anonymous avenue to report their concerns. So for us, we do see that positive change. Is this an average? Are we below or above that average? I would have to get back to you on that. I'm not really sure how we might compare to other municipalities who have a hotline system, but for us, we do see a positive increase in the number of complaints being reported.
I appreciate that, Viola. And then my comment along the lines of Councilor Graham's commentary is our Health Policy Review Committee is looking at an occupational health survey. And in that occupational health survey, I think we'll be able to really ascertain where people are feeling safe, or if they're not, why not. And it's been an interesting process. We're working with New Mexico State University's one of their evaluation programs. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what those questions might look like. And of course, these are questions that CDC and others, Department of Health, have had, in the past, occupational health survey questions. So I have the copy of the questions that I'll be sharing with EFO, and then, I don't know, Mr. Peely, if you and Mayor, if you feel like a work session is necessary to share with the rest of council, or how we might, get the feedback from the other council members. We have Councilor Flores and Councilor Karan that sit on that along with myself. And I don't know if there are other committees that you think we need to vet that particular survey.
Mayor Pro Tem, who were you directing that question to?
To you, Mayor, and Mr. Peely.
It was just a comment, or to the city manager?
It was a question in terms of how do we vet that survey, and would it require a additional work session to work through the survey questions, or is the PRC committee enough to move it into council to vote?
I can't speak for EFO. It was a little bit hard hearing all of your comments or questions. I'm open to having a work session on this to help develop maybe questions of your concerns as well as the other council members, and put that out for something that could be used for to gather input from the public.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, that's it. All right. Thank you, Viola. So next one is number 3.3, inspection of public records and IPRA statistics. Lisa Herrera will be presenting.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. This is Jennifer Vega, your City Attorney. I just wanted to say a few things before Lisa begins her presentation. As you are aware, the records manager is under the city clerk. These are stats and information that we haven't provided in the past. I thought it was important that we provide you the information so that you have an idea of the number of requests that we fulfill, how quickly we fulfill them. We have started to track the number of hours that it takes to fulfill IPA requests. I think this is just lending to further transparency, but also so that you know our valuable city resources are used for compliance. We are in compliance with IPRA. We've had a complaint here and there. We've never been found in violation by the Attorney General. We have been asked by the Attorney General for some clarification and for a review of a report, but we've never been found in violation. I just wanted to make you all aware of that. The number of hours spent on fulfilling these requests is substantial. And so I think it's important for the public to know that we are doing everything we can to comply, and we're doing it as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Lisa Herrera, and I am the Records Manager. It's going to be short and to the point today. So in 2021, we received 1,505 total requests for the year. As of June 30th, the report I ran, we've processed 1,016 requests, so we're projected to go over 2,000 this year. On average, it takes our office to fulfill a request from the date that we receive it to completion, 6 days. For a staff member to review a 10-page document, it takes about 30 minutes, that's including redactions. And the average time for a 1-hour video review with redactions and uploading it to the requester is about 3 hours. This is just a snapshot of the June stats. So there were 620 documents that were provided to requesters in June alone. 449 hours was logged by staff for researching, reviewing, and redacting. The city clerk does update these statistics every month. It can be found on the city's website under the city clerk's office. There is a link for public records requests, and we can get that information there. A quick rundown of staff that are assigned to public record requests. The city clerk is the custodian of records for the city of Las Cruces. She has designated myself, the records manager, and the 2 records clerks in the city clerk's office, soon to be 3, to process and gather information for public record requests. She also has, the city clerk's, office also has an office assistant senior that assists us with documents review as needed. The city attorney's office also as needed for document review. They also help our office to prepare responses and also reviewing documentation to make sure that privileged information is redacted or removed before release. The police department has 7 staff members that are dedicated to public record requests at this time. The support services administrator, the records supervisor, 3 records clerks, the administrative assistant in CID, and the office assistant senior in IA. They all assist our office in gathering documentation, and they also review and redact documents as well. Each city department is also assigned a records liaison that is designated by their department directors that assists our office in gathering information as well. I told you it would be quick and to the point. If you have any questions, open it up from there.
Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you so much, Ms. Herrera. Insofar as page 4 goes, so what's a administrative assistant / CID? What's a CID? Just wondering.
That's a section in the police department. I believe it stands for Criminal Investigation Division. Okay. It's a section within the police department.
So it's a department? The D stands for department. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Ms. Herrera. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else? Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Correa?
I really appreciate you sharing this. Thank you. And I know that it's a lot to think about 5 requests a day and the number of things that go along with that. And I know that actually this doesn't include all the work from ICT and folks that have to contribute to a number of things and all of those things. And I'm not one to suggest that, I think transparency is key, but I'm curious if you, and this is probably a big ask, but it would be great to hear sort of what these requests are aimed at. That is, I know that in a lot of cases, these come from folks who are working at some sort of gotcha angle to try to catch people doing something unethical, and those might come from various places. Some of these come from, sort of media requests. Some of these might relate to things that are high-profile things that are happening. I'm curious if in the future we could sort of know what general types of IPRA requests are coming in. I don't know how that would be sort of calculated, but sort of requests from folks who are coming at this from different angles. And I think I asked this in service of sort of the bigger question that we're having here today, the conversation about oversight and accountability and sort of transparency, and where the efforts are concentrated in terms of that type of accountability, if that makes sense. So, and I know that this is your first time presenting that, but I'm just curious. I will be curious to see in the future, perhaps a little bit more nuance to where these requests are coming from. Not to suggest that any spaces are sort of more or less legitimate, but I would say that this is an enormous amount of effort that we put forward, and I would like the community and the city to know that in being accountable to this, there's a cost to the city and to the people who work here and to all the departments that have to contribute to that, and to consider that cost in thinking about things like what I believe are regularly spurious IPRA requests, if I can name them, frankly.
I'm sorry, was there a question?
Just next time, if you can sort of give a general,
More detail?
like a little bit more detail about like where
Sure.
do these come from, because I really appreciate you all doing this work, and I would just like to know what it's in service of, right?
Okay, sure. On the website now, we do actually break it down by what's called activities. So those are the notifications that we send to departments. So those are broken down by departments. You can see which departments and sections get the most activities. But it doesn't really detail the nature of the request itself, just where it's going within the city. Yes, I can give that.
Mayor and Council, it's Jennifer Vega. A great deal of the IPRA requests that we receive are directed at the police department, and this is a method that a lot of attorneys use to go through IPRA rather than the discovery process or any other process that is allowable by law. They utilize IPRA. And so because we have a 3-day turnaround, or we have to provide everything in 15 days, it's very burdensome, but we provide that, but a lot of that is for body-worn camera footage. And it may be an incident that was a traffic stop, as simple as it's not controversial issues. I mean, we receive those as well, but it's usually for just everyday interactions that may occur.
That is correct. I actually have the breakdown for the police department. Of that 1,016 that we received through June 30th, 565 were for the police department. 451 are categorized as just other city requests.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So Lisa, let me ask you something. I believe there was a request for additional help in this coming fiscal year, but is this a position that could actually or also use volunteers if they're screened properly?
Personally, I wouldn't think so. You're dealing with sometimes could be confidential or privileged information. I don't know that we would want volunteers to be handling that type of information.
I'm just curious.
Just my opinion.
Because, if it's information that's public, then, just why not have them help in addition? But again, that was just merely thought.
And Mayor and Council, we have to review, so the legal department has the city has a confidentiality policy overall, but a lot of the information that we review has to be redacted, and so it would be, some of it is highly sensitive.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Lisa, I guess that's it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess you're last, huh? Lawyer succession plan.
This is a lot of fun for
Like
everyone.
if you win the lottery and you take off, or what?
Yeah. Okay, wait, can I get back here? Where is our former counselor when we need him? It's not. Work your magic. Thank you. All right. Mayor and Council, this is Jennifer Vega, your city attorney. What you're about to witness is very riveting. This is a new rule, and this is a requirement of for all attorneys in New Mexico, so I have to go through this, and I'll have to go through it every year, so we'll try to get through it quickly. The New Mexico Supreme Court adopted NMRA Rule 16-119, and it becomes effective on October 1st, 2022. We are going to combine it with our annual audit report every year just so that we remember to do it. The rule requires every lawyer practicing in New Mexico to have a written succession plan specifying the steps to be taken in the event of the lawyer's incapacity. The requirements of the rule are to identify the lawyer or law firm designated to carry out the terms of the succession plan, the location of information necessary to access the designating lawyer's current list of active clients, client files, and other client information, including computer and other relevant passwords, and information on designating the lawyer's trust and operating accounts and corresponding records. The other requirements of the rule are that lawyers must also notify their clients of the existence of the succession plan pursuant to the rule, and it mandates that every lawyer annually certify to the State Bar of New Mexico that the lawyer or the law firm employing the lawyer is in compliance with this rule. And as, of course, you are aware, the City Council is the client and the City Manager is the client, and this is your notification. The City Attorney's Office has implemented the following lawyer succession plan. Upon the incapacity, disability, or death of the City Attorney, Jennifer Vega, the City Attorney's cases will transfer to the Deputy City Attorney. The City Attorney's records, passwords, and case files and current case management database will be maintained by the Legal Department Office Manager, Vanessa King. Upon the incapacity, disability, or death of the Deputy City Attorney, the Deputy City Attorney's cases will transfer to the most senior Assistant City Attorney, which is currently Jocelyn Garrison. The Deputy City Attorney's records, passwords, and case files and current case management database will be maintained by the Legal Department Office Manager, Vanessa King. Upon the incapacity, disability, or death of Senior Assistant City Attorney Jocelyn Garrison, Senior Assistant City Attorney's cases will transfer to the City Attorney, and the Senior Assistant City Attorney's records, passwords, and case files and current case management database will be maintained by the Legal Department Office Manager, Vanessa King. Upon the incapacity, disability, or death of Senior Assistant City Attorney Brad Douglas, the Senior Assistant City Attorney's cases will transfer to the City Attorney Jennifer Vega. The Senior Assistant City Attorney's records, passwords, and case files and current case management database will be maintained by the Legal Department Office Manager Vanessa King. The City Attorney's Office financial records and operating accounts are maintained by Leanne Demouche, the Director of the City of Las Cruces Finance Department. The City Attorney Jennifer Vega is responsible for the Office of the City Attorney's succession plan. This lawyer's succession plan fulfills all the requirements of Rule 16-119 NMRA. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Right now we have three open positions. The Deputy City Attorney position is open, and we have 2 senior positions open. So I will adjust this plan. It will be very similar in succession, and that will be submitted to Mr. Peely as soon as those positions are filled.
Questions? Mayor Pro Tem, you have any questions?
Mayor, yes. The only concern, Jennifer, I have is that you've listed names such as yourself and Brad and others. Could we be a little more general? If in the event somebody leaves, would you have to, and not because of those things listed, would you have to go back and amend and bring it to council?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mayor Pro Tem. No, the rule requires specific naming of each attorney in New Mexico.
Okay.
So as we hire people, we'll have to add their names into the plan.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, this, I guess, pretty much will conclude the work session then, huh, Ifo? Yeah. Okay, no, great. No, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Abeta?
Motion made by Councilor Flores, second by Councilor Beta to adjourn. Christine?
This is on the motion to adjourn the work session. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo is absent. Councilor Corran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Okay, it's 2:40 p.m. We are adjourned. Thank you, and we do have the agenda setting meeting here in a minute. Okay, you ready for the agenda setting meeting? All right, this is the agenda setting meeting for July 18, 2022 City Council meeting. Number 1, non-consent.
1 non-consent.
2, non-consent.
2 non-consent.
3, non-consent.
3 non-consent.
4, consent.
4 consents.
5, consent.
5 consents.
6, consent.
6 consents.
7, non-consent.
7 non-consents.